Hello, and welcome to Putting You on the Spot, the podcast that puts you in the spotlight. Today in the spotlight, we have a graphic artist, graphic designer, graphic artist. I never know how to say these things, so let's please welcome Kanisha Ulysse.
Hello.
All right, I got that right. We were practicing that before we got started.
Okay, cool.
Oh no, we're on.
Oh shit. Okay.
I was trying to practice your name.
Oh yeah, you got it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Do you get that a lot?
Yes, a lot.
You'd be surprised. I have the easiest name in the world, JT. You think it'd be simple, right?
Yeah.
I get TJ, I get JP. Everybody screws it up.
Oh,
so,
nice.
Yeah.
You know, it's as easy as possible.
Yeah, but we see how well I'm doing with names here, so I can't really I can't really complain.
Yeah.
So you're a graphic designer, correct?
Yes.
That would be the proper term for it.
Yes, and that's what I've studied in college. But I like to go by an artist because I like to paint, illustrate, like to do everything.
Okay.
Yeah.
And also, by the way, just to let everybody know, Nisha here is the one that did our podcast logo. So thank you so much for that.
Yes, of course. It was a pleasure.
Yeah, it was perfect.
Thank you.
I had a vision, just nice and simple. This is exactly what I want. Within a couple of days, bam, exactly what I saw you put down, and so that was perfect. Thank you very much.
Awesome, of course.
So, what got you started with art? Was it something that you've loved since you were a kid, or was it something that just kind of was it like a Bob Ross show popped up and that's that became the thing?
Since birth, honestly, ever since I was like 5, I'm just like, I want to be an artist. That's it. And I stuck with it and still am today.
All right.
So yeah.
It's just kind of always been in the blood. It's been in the genes.
Yeah, basically.
Maybe something you pulled from like a past life or something like that.
Right. Yeah.
All
totally.
Right. So what was your like beginnings with art? Was it just like, crayons and stuff like that? Or were you like a savant? Like all of a sudden you just have like perfect portraits?
So yeah, of course it started out with crayons. As I got into like more high school, I started doing more like anime, fan art, a lot of portraits. After high school, I got into more like realistic, like nude poses or facial shots. But I just love to do everything.
Okay, but it's starting to sound like the surreal realism and like portraits seem to kind of be your thing. What is it about that like draws your eye?
Just the fact that you could do anything with art. Even with bodies or expressions, you can draw, like I like to draw females the most. So females have the most curves. It's just super fun to just draw poses and curves. Yeah. And just, I usually like to add a little touch of like abstract art or surrealism. So I'll do like some crazy patterns in the background with like paint or marker.
All right, and I know this is going to sound misogynistic, but I would assume females would be the best to draw. It's just like the reason why like cars are like modeled after women, the curves and stuff like that. It's like it's appeasing to the eye. It's just it's natural biology. But like when it comes to art and stuff like that, that's always like the thing that I look for. Like I don't know shit about art. I'm just an observer. But like the more like the lines kind of flow and all that stuff. That's the like I love portraits of like landscapes and stuff like that. Like one, I'm a nature freak to begin with, but when somebody can just get like where the grass looks like it's just blowing in the wind, just that line work and just how everything flows, the curves, exactly. that really catches my eye. So, that's really cool. So you love doing the art, but you also do graphic design. So what got you going towards that? Just did it seem like a more open market for it, or was it just something another medium that you found love in?
So I went into college thinking, well, I have this trade with like painting and illustrating. Maybe I could learn a new trade, which is graphic design. With graphic design, it kind of like honed a more serious art perspective, kind of like doing logos for businesses. That's like a more serious kind of practice. So just doing that for 4 years trained me in that sense. But on the side, I can also do like my more abstract, curvy women drawings. So I kind of have like these two areas of art.
Mm-hmm. And I saw on your website you also do a little bit of motion art with that as well.
Yes, small bit.
Gotcha. So it's something
Yeah.
you're still working on?
Definitely.
Yes. So you do have a website. Would you like to let us know where we can find you online?
Yeah, of course. My website is my first and last name, KanishaUlysse.com. And my Instagram, where I have more of my abstract body art, is Colors of Nisha.
Okay, and we will have a link to all your stuff down in the description and all that, so they can find you.
Thank
Again,
you.
she does fantastic work, quick turnaround, so I appreciate that.
Of course.
You know, in your line of work, you know, I'm sure you do a lot of work from home. Has the pandemic like hurt, like, you know, your business at all? Because while like you can kind of work from anywhere, but maybe some of the people that would be looking to hire you, that there's so much stuff out of business, has this like affected your work at all?
So actually I had to take a break from art and designing because of an injury that happened last year. So I'm kind of like slowly getting back into it. I just started working with this sign shop, so I'm kind of slowly getting back into things. So the logo I made for you is actually my first full design that I've done freelance. So it was an awesome experience. I loved it. So thank you so much for that.
You're very welcome, and thank you. So, all right. So, well, fantastic how you know, things just work, and
Yeah.
you know, you're with a buddy of mine. So, you know, it's such a small world, and this island, it just keeps getting smaller and smaller every day. So, you had an injury. What happened?
So they found a cyst in my spine, which kind of affected my shoulder down to my arm, my right arm. And of course, that's my drawing arm. So it bummed me out for a very long time. So I'm still kind of recovering. I'm not sure if it's going to go away, if it's going to stay. Doctors aren't sure. But I still got to do my art. So I'm hanging in there.
Gotcha. But is it bothering you while you're trying to draw and stuff?
Yeah, unfortunately.
Oh, geez, I'm so sorry. Oh, that's wild. But like I said, they have no idea. Like, is it in a spot where they can at least get to it or do something with it? Or?
So I had a surgery last year, cervical spine surgery. And that kind of, things were getting worse. So I had this surgery, and after the surgery, it removed, because the pain kind of went in other areas of my body. So the surgery kind of prevented it from spreading. So now it's just kind of in my shoulder at the moment. So hopefully it doesn't spread again. I don't have to do surgery again.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh,
Yeah.
that's got to be so tough. So, but
but
you're pushing
hanging
through.
in there,
Yeah. So where do you get that spirit from? You know, that's, you know, it takes a lot. Like some people, you know, they don't have a passion. They don't understand, like, you know, when there's something that you really love, that you really, you feel it in your bones, you need to do it. Like if I don't pick up a guitar in a certain amount of time, like I'm going to lose my mind, you know, and so to have that passion, you know, like.
Exactly.
So what helps, you know, not what helps, what would be the word for it, you know? Like I almost can't even explain it. Like I said, when like I'm not picking up a guitar for a while, there's like just this burn. Like
Exactly.
I hear music, I need to get it out and stuff like that. What's it like with like, because I don't know anything about like, you know, that's the only art that I know. How's that like, you know, manifest in you?
It's an outlet for sure. So just going months, especially when I was recovering after the surgery, there's just something inside me that's like, hey, you need to draw. Like, that's the bottom line. Like, you just need to create with your hands. You need to get something on paper, even if it's scribbles, just something on a sheet of paper, get a brush to a paper. It's just such an outlet that I've always done my entire life. And just to suddenly not be able to do it, not out of procrastination, but because I physically can't, is very unfortunate. So thankfully I healed okay, and I'm able to at least draw for a bit every day. So it's okay. Yeah.
Well, I pray for the best for you. So
Thank you.
It's amazing that you know, you're just pushing through it. So also with that, like, you know, and so with your art, is it like, you know, you see something, you go, oh, that gives you the idea and you want to draw it? Do you come up with stuff in your head? How does that work for you?
It's a bit of both. Like if I see a picture online, I always save it. Or if something just pops into my head or an idea, I write it down. Or I literally just pull out a sheet of paper, grab any pen, pencil, anything, and just doodle. That's what I do the most.
Just doodle. So you got like a sketchbook full of all kinds of random stuff?
Definitely.
So is there anything that like, just starts off as a sketch or a doodle that you're like, oh, wait, I think I might have something here. And then you pull out the canvas and go for it?
Mm-hmm.
All right, that's cool. Again, I know nothing about art. The most I learned about art, there was a guy that I met when I was getting clean, and he was an artist and almost a professional artist. Mostly sculpture was his big thing, but he would do art, and I'm just like, and he loved Salvador Dali, and I'm like, oh, the melting clock stuff. I'm like, what the fuck is that stuff anyway? And Picasso and all that. And he broke it down for me. Like I never understood, especially whatever style of art that is. Like he was explaining to me, it's more than just art. He's like, through this, he's expressing all the, like these Jungian and Freudian terms and stuff like that, and all this psychology, but he's expressing it through a visual art form. I was just like, oh, I just thought it was, there was, an acid trip gone wrong on paper. I never realized like how deep art can be. So do you have any of that in your style?
Definitely. Definitely. It starts out as doodles, definitely forms into, depending on where I am in life. It could be very expressive for sure. Yeah.
That's really cool. Again, I find it fascinating. It's just like I'm just starting to understand over the past few years. Again, I always just thought it was crazy. You see somebody with a few scribbles up on a museum, like how the hell did he get there? And it's like it's not always about what it is; it's what it represents.
Yeah, definitely.
So I can only imagine not being able to do it. Like again, for me, it's music. I hear something and that's how I get my emotion out. So I'm sure it's the same for you. So how as a kid, growing up and having this desire to create art, how much did that like play a part of like your childhood?
Definitely spending a lot of time during class and at home just doodling. I always remember during high school, I still have them, just all these math papers just filled with art, completely filled with art, because I was not paying attention. I gave up and I was like, okay, I'm just going to draw. I'm going to spend time honing my own craft and drawing instead of focusing on math. So that pretty much guided me to make sure I'm always committed to art. Just always like art's my life. So
did you drive your parents crazy?
My dad, of course, is like, oh, I don't know if this is like, you should focus on this as your career. He's like, be a pharmacist.
Always the naysayers.
Yeah. And thankfully, like my mom was very supportive of that. So she's like, yeah, definitely see what you could do with art. Make it your career.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah.
So did you go to school for art?
Just college.
Just college.
Yeah.
Where did you go?
School of Visual Arts in Manhattan.
All right.
Yeah.
How was that experience?
It was good. Definitely, I wasn't expecting it. Graphic design with that school, the training is very intense. So it was definitely project after project every single day. Barely social life, just like working, graphic design. But it was a really good education, so I'm grateful for that. For sure.
And did you still have to take like English and history and all that kind of stuff?
A little bit.
See, I find that shit insane. Like I originally went to school for film and video, and the same thing. Like I'm taking sociology classes, and I'm like, what the hell?
Yeah, the electives. Yeah,
I've never understood that about college. It seems like such a ripoff. It's like there's trade schools, but like you can't get a degree from a trade school. You get a certificate of completion, and like, but the world is really changing now. There's so many people, especially like all these tech, Silicon Valley billionaires that started off. Some of them started off in their garage while they were going to college and whatnot, but a lot of these people getting into it, like they learned how to program at home. They're getting all these skills. YouTube. Look at all these YouTube and TikTok stars. They don't. But then again, it's like a lottery ticket. 1 out of every 1,000 people are going to wind up doing something successful with that. But I really think we need to just rethink the education system. Kids go into like crazy debt to get these degrees, and then like half of the stuff that you're learning, do you really need to take 13th and 14th grade with like history and math? Like unless you're becoming an engineer, I don't think you need to learn trigonometry while you're going to do graphic art or learn film and video. But we'll see what happens in the future. I'm hoping that they start to rethink things.
Yeah, like remove student loans.
Yeah, exactly, right. So it's it's kind of wild because it's almost set up to just fuck people.
Yeah,
because the student loans are backed by Freddie Mae and all these companies, so they're government backed. So the schools don't give a fuck. They're gonna make their money one way or the other. So they up their prices because it doesn't matter what they pay. An unassuming kid goes, okay, yeah, sure, $20,000, every 6 months, sure, no problem. I'll take out a student loan. We'll pay it back, and they don't care if you don't because they're gonna get their money one way or the other. So there's nothing stopping them from continuing to raise prices. And then in a lot of cases, in a lot of these schools, they're not upping their education. They're not. The place I went to, I won't mention names, but their facility was garbage. And it was a performing arts school, and really their nest egg was the audio program. So the audio program always had some good stuff, but in the film and video class, it was lacking a lot. There was equipment that was broken, and it's like it was supposed to be small classes, but they just cared about money. So in a room that should have been 10 people, there's like 25, 30 people up against the walls trying to take notes. So it's just like, but nothing's stopping them. There's no incentive for them to really get their shit together because all they care about is the money, and they're going to make the money one way or another. So here's to praying that they do something different about that.
I know, definitely.
Yeah. So you went to school for graphic art. Now, how did you get into the professional field?
Interesting. I've experienced with freelance. Worked at a design company, worked with a designer, then worked at Starbucks, of course, worked at Whole Foods, worked at all these places. And now I'm kind of trying to get back into graphic design. Currently trying to work my way up at this new job. I will eventually become a graphic designer. But I do think often about how, I went to school for 4 years. Now I'm in all this debt, and the school itself, they train you, and they tell you once you get out, you should be getting paid this much and you'll be getting this job as long as you do these things. And that obviously doesn't happen for everyone. So it's kind of just okay, one day I'll find my worth. Maybe one day, I'll be able to, be where I'm supposed to be or where I want to be,
Yeah, it's tough, but you just keep grinding. If it's something that you felt in your soul since you were little, that this is obviously what you're supposed to be doing, And if you just keep grinding it out, eventually at some point, it's going to hit, because anything that's worth it isn't meant to be easy. Otherwise, we wouldn't appreciate it.
Yeah, that's true.
So as much as sometimes the tough times are tough and they suck, they really suck, you put in that work, and eventually, you'll get to that place. And along the way, enjoy being able to do it, So again, I've taken a look at some of your work. It's beautiful.
Thank you.
Absolutely beautiful. So I guess there was something else I wanted to ask you. See, I need to write this shit down. We're working on this. So okay, yeah. So when you're doing the portraits and stuff like that, color schemes.
Oh yeah.
How do you come up with color schemes?
I have no idea, honestly. Yeah, I don't know. I just kind of do it. I really don't know how to explain it. I'm biased to blue. Blue is my favorite color. So I kind of start with blue and work my way out. Or, oh, this color looks good. This green is nice. I'll use this. Ooh, this yellow looks good next to this blue. I just kind of go at it.
Okay, so it's kind of just like a free-flowing thing, and you let the muse hit as the muse is going to come.
Yes.
Yeah, because I've always wondered about that. Drawing is one thing and getting your lines and whatnot, but then when you start putting color down, everything needs to flow in a certain way, not even just the lines, but the color itself is very important. I've learned this through Bob Ross.
Awesome.
Did you ever get to watch Bob Ross?
A little bit, more in more recent years.
Yeah.
I unfortunately didn't grow up with him, but...
Yeah, a little bit before your generation.
Yeah.
But if you can go back and watch reruns, I highly suggest it. All us 30s and up, we definitely remember Bob Ross, and we're just gonna put a pretty little tree over here. You know, that was my introduction to art, and I get so frustrated because I'd be trying to do stuff, and he makes it look so easy. I'm like, I can't draw a stick figure to save my life. It's terrible, but everybody's got their own art form.
Yeah.
So what are you looking for, you know, in the future? So obviously you want this to be your career, to be able to support yourself on it. Do you see yourself you know, staying with a company, or do you really want to take it freelance and build your own company?
I really want to do freelance and do my own thing for sure. Do graphic design and more illustration or and paintings. Like I have that professional art side and like that more kind of free flowing artwork that I would like to do. Both basically.
Gotcha. Okay. So, are you planning on keeping on the island with this? Or do you have like, you know, dreams of moving to Manhattan, you know, full time, or what's some of the other like art capitals of the world? You know, France.
Honestly, I'll go anywhere. Like it's a dream to freelance and just be able to move anywhere, just be completely through the internet, and if I have to travel somewhere, like I'll go. Yeah, I want to go wherever art takes me, basically.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
So ride the winds of creation.
Exactly. Yes.
So obviously, you know, pen to paper is your favorite medium, but outside of that, I guess what would be second? Where like, you know, do you see the profession, you know, kind of, you know, moving more towards, you know, do you see yourself putting together art galleries, or do you see yourself doing more stuff for like, you know, TV, film, you know, animation, that kind of thing?
I would say, I definitely want to experience, putting up my own artwork in an art gallery for sure. I feel like that's very, like, it feels very complete. Or it's just like, oh yes, look at my work, it's up, like, look at it, please. Yeah. That would be awesome.
Okay.
Just have my artwork up. Yeah.
You know, you could always do that yourself too. You know, rent out, like, as silly as it sounds, I've seen people do it in like VFW halls, you know, and just host your own, you know.
That's true.
And if you got a great presentation, you got a good way of speaking about it, you can, you can make some money off of it, you know.
Yeah.
So
definitely.
If you're ever looking to do that, Full Spec Productions, we got your back.
Ooh, sweet.
we'll put together some stuff for you.
Ooh.
And so I'm trying to remember what was what's the big art museum in Manhattan? Is it the Smithsonian?
MoMA or Met?
The Met.
The Met.
There
okay,
you go.
Metropolitan.
Yeah. What does it take to get a piece of artwork up in there?
Oh my goodness. I don't even know. That's some top stuff.
Really? Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm so uncultured. This is terrible.
Like, I'm sure, I don't want to sound like a fool, but I know between the MoMA and the Met, one of them, they have, Salvador Dali. So
okay.
It's like, it's some good stuff in there.
It's the top of the line.
Yeah.
Your name's got to be out there. Do they got Banksy over there? That's another random name I know.
Do they? I don't know. I don't think I saw stuff in there now.
All right. Well, we were talking about before the show. There's a wonderful little restaurant in Port Jeff. Toast. I think Toast does. Yes. They do art galleries and stuff there, and they also they put it up and with a little price tag, and they help local artists. Have you ever gotten anything in there or talked to them about possibly getting something in there?
No, I haven't.
That might be your next step.
That's true.
Yeah, because I've been in there for coffee, and there's some beautiful artwork in there, and I noticed because I go there like once every couple of years. I'm out that way, and the first time I noticed that, I was like, oh, there's a little tag here with all the information and everything, and so I know they do little art galleries and stuff, so it's great that there are places around that support local artists.
All right, for sure.
I know they do poetry slams and stuff there. It's the total hipster cafe. I love it.
No, me too.
And so, but yeah, so there's places like Toast. Do we know of any other places like that out here? I know there's tons in the village.
Port Jeff has a gallery.
Okay.
I haven't checked it out though, but I've definitely seen it.
Yeah. So through the art world, has it like, have you met anybody through the art world that like, art kind of binds you together? Is it like the same thing like with musicians? Like we're always out at shows, we're meeting each other, art seems like it could be like a little bit more lonely in a respect. Cause it's, it's your work, you're doing stuff by yourself. But I know there's also groups. I did an event in the Bronx, a couple of years back, and they were doing a live art show where there was 4 artists and they were painting, and after they kind of got the basics and everything done, they all started switching up and painting each other's artwork.
Oh, that's sweet.
Yeah, it was really interesting. So have you had any experience with some stuff like that?
No, mostly college. I've experienced mingling with other artists. I definitely have to get back out there and reach out to my fellow artists. Doing art by myself, I have to spread my wings a bit and kind of be more active with that. Yeah,
because there is a whole network of people out there. Like again, when I saw this, it was the first time I ever seen anything like that. It was fantastic, and I'm like, oh wait, no, you're gonna ruin their work. Like no, that's theirs. But they all put their own. You could see in each individual painting what kind of like their style or what message they were going for, so to speak. And then you could see them take pieces of that and then add it into other little parts of the other person's work. And so until all 4 were a complete combination of everybody's work, but you could see the influences of each individual person in there. It was pretty amazing.
So awesome.
Yeah.
What is it called? What is that?
It was just a random live exhibition. I was doing a audio for the New York Pizza Festival out in the Bronx, and they just so happened to I guess they were contracted or something like that to do a live art exhibition, and there was 3 or 4 of them, and it was pretty interesting.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So I don't remember what they did with the artwork afterwards. I'm sure they they either they hung them up or they donated them for charity or something like that. But so I know that's why, like when I was asking before if there's anywhere you want to go, I don't know much about the art community out here, but obviously in the city, that's in like the village, I'm sure there's still a big artist community and stuff like that. So I know there's a lot of pockets in the city, but the city is difficult.
Yeah, actually, there's a funny story. I actually met an artist at a park one time. I was just in the city. Where was it? Madison Square Park Garden. My gosh, I forgot the name.
I think there is a Madison Square Garden Park now, though. Outside of there, they have this big outdoor area that I seen like a couple of years back when I was out there. So
yeah, well, basically, I was in a park in the city, and I was just doodling, and this girl, she kind of sat down next to me, and she was like, oh, and she like pulled out her sketchbook too, and she's like, oh well, like I'm doodling too, like can I look at your stuff? And I was like, of course. And then we kind of just like exchanged artwork and then information, and then like we kind of just like linked up through Instagram, and then we went to like probably like a month later we met up again and went to an art gallery, and I guess that was like my first interaction with just like a random artist, and we just immediately bonded after that.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
That's really cool. And street art is a whole nother world of its own,
Oh yeah, definitely.
Everything from people doing caricatures to literally drawing on the street and stuff like that. So, and again, that's something you see a lot out in the city. Would you consider moving out? Well, you said you would kind of, go where the winds take you. Yeah. But could you handle living out in the city?
I used to. When I went to college, I lived in the city.
That's a good point. Yeah. What was that experience like? Have you always lived on Long Island?
Yes, yeah.
Okay,
I was born in Queens, moved when I was like 7 to Long Island, then moved back to Manhattan for like 4 years. Definitely miss it. It's definitely different than Long Island out here. Mm-hmm. Just always walking everywhere, just seeing new things everywhere, all types of people. Just things are always going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I spent some time out in Brooklyn, and yeah, like I don't understand why anybody that actually lives there owns a car. Like I don't understand it unless you work outside of the borough that you live in. And in which case, as long as you're still in one of the boroughs, yeah, it sucks that, you know, the 2-hour train ride sometimes to get from, you know, all the way from Brooklyn all the way up to Northern Queens. Yeah. But at the same time, in traffic, it's going to take you the same amount of time anyway. But yeah, being around all those people. Well, there's another question between, like, you know, the city or out here in the more rural area of Long Island. Do you see the influences of your environment in your artwork? Like, so when you're out here, there's a lot more scenery, so to speak, unless you're going to, like, you know, not Times Square, Central Park or something like that. Mm-hmm. But, you know, there's a lot more people. Does that affect your artwork at all? Your environment, I guess, is what I'm trying to say.
Mm-hmm. I feel like before I moved out to the city, my art was a little more rigid, or what's the word? A little more stiff.
Okay.
Just doing art while living in the city, it kind of freed it up a lot. Like, that's when I was getting into more models and just the more, I guess, free-flowing type of lifestyle in the city kind of loosened me up a bit. So my artwork kind of definitely evolved from living in Manhattan. I don't even know how to explain it. It's just my artwork definitely changed a lot after moving to the city. Yeah. It's an interesting thing to explain art and how it evolves. Because it just kind of happens. Mm-hmm. Like, I never realized, I never know what's going to happen when my hand picks up a pencil and goes to a paper, or if I paint, because it's always changing. Mm-hmm. I go through life and then my art changes, basically.
I'm sure it's like, you know, one, it's a combination of environment, because there's all different energies, you know, around. Like, I noticed it, you know, just from living in the city to living out here, just the feel of the environment. So out here, you know, it's just not more relaxed. It's very different. And then in the city, everything's so much more upbeat and energetic. Yeah. You know, there's people moving. It's like completely different energies. And so it affects a lot of different things. And then also there's just the wisdom that comes with, you know, working a craft for a certain amount of time, where all of a sudden, like, your hand gets used to doing one particular thing. And then one day it's, oh, wait, no, that movement might do something, you know. Exactly. A guitar, there's certain picking techniques and scales that you work. And then, you know, I'm good at this, but I'm not good at that. And then one day, all of a sudden, something just clicks. And it's like, oh, wait, I could do this way. So I'm sure there's a lot of similarities in that you just pick up stuff over time, just with the, you know, the natural feel of working a craft for, you know, for so long.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, like, with techniques, is there, like, particular techniques that you like more than others?
Not.
I guess how important is technique? Because I know there's different techniques, you know, different brushes to get, you know, certain, you know, textures, or, you know, certain colors work better with this or that. But there's also, like, you know, brush stroke techniques and stuff like that. Does that play an influence in your art, or are you just, again, just kind of, you know, free flowy?
So I definitely was able to, through college, I was definitely able to kind of hone more skills professionally, or I guess more structured, because it was a school. Because I never went to art classes before. I just took art in high school or middle school, whatever they gave us. But going through college definitely, like, honed my craft. And yeah. Yeah. Sorry, I'm so nervous.
Oh, it's all right. It's all right. I know the minute a microphone gets in front of you and the camera's on you, it makes it a little bit more intense.
Definitely.
So, but yeah. So, outside of the you know, the freedom of expression through art, is there anything else about the craft that like, you know, really hooks you to it?
Seeing other people's art. I love looking at fellow artists. Because I have obviously my own way I do art, and just looking at other people and kind of just like seeing their style and their craft, especially following artists for a very long time and seeing them grow as well. It's such an awesome experience. I love seeing artists just grow. Like, we're all growing together, no matter what you do, different arts, different styles, everyone's growing. Mm-hmm. I just love seeing development in art. And if they decide to just completely change what they do, that's awesome. Like, it's just so interesting to see that, because art can take you into so many different directions, different styles, all types of things.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Now with art, like with music, comedy, like in comedy, like a lot of comedians I hear all the time don't like to, you know, listen to bigger comedians or listen to too much comedy because they don't want to be too influenced by something else. And in music, like we're influenced by the things we listen to growing up and stuff like that. But nobody wants to, unless you're in a cover band, like, you know, I don't want to sound like Pantera. I don't want to sound like Led Zeppelin or whatnot, but you're going to get some of a little bit of that influence. It's a little less lax than, you know, certain other performance arts. What about like in art? Because, you know, you can learn so much from each other, but like, you know, you don't want to be called, oh, you're trying to do Dolly, you know, oh, you're trying to be like Tom over here. Yeah. I see that brush, you know, that brush stroke, that's Tom's trick over there. What's it like in the art community when it comes to like, you know, being influenced and, you know, do you take that in as part of your own, or is it a little bit more like, oh, I see what he's doing here and appreciation for it, but try to stay to your own, you know, thing?
I had a teacher once say, no one is original. Like, it's kind of impossible at this point to be original. Mm-hmm. Salvador Dali and Rene Magritte, they are like, those guys are originals. Like after that, everything's kind of been done already. But me personally, I like to take influences. Like, I kind of accept it, and obviously kind of grind it into my own style, and see where that takes me. Or like, I'll always appreciate somebody's art, and if there's like a technique that I learned from somebody, I want to see if I can use that technique and see if I can make it my own. Mm-hmm.
So it's a little bit more, what's the word I'm looking for? Sharing is allowed, so to speak. Yeah. And like I said, in music, you can't help it. You know, that we're influenced by the things that we hear, and, you know, some musicians are okay with it. Some are not. I think the coolest, you know, I mentioned Pantera before. Dimebag Darrell had this great, if it was in an interview, somebody was asking him, oh, did you hear this one band that they got this song that's like a complete ripoff from you? Does that piss you off? And he's like, no, that's like the greatest form of flattery. The fact that like I'm doing something that somebody else finds so cool that they want to do it too. Like, it doesn't get any better than that, you know? So it's really a mixed bag, you know?
Definitely.
So, but you know, with any of the arts, like, well, they're so different, there's so much similarity into it, you know? And people outside of like an artistic community, so to speak, whether it be music, performing arts, you know, what would you art I don't know what to call it, you know, the freedom of expression and like really putting who you are and the influences of your life and releasing it in like in this craft and whatnot. You know, there's people that aren't in that mindset. Like, you know, I don't think they can ever, you know, fully understand it. Like, you came across it with your dad. Has there been other people like, you know, like, oh, you know, hey, what do you do? Oh, I do art. Oh, why do you do art? Have you ever come across like a lot of negativity or anything like that? Any kind of boundaries as a result of, you know, of what you love to do as being an artist?
Thankfully, not at the moment. Nothing that I could think of. I'm just kind of trying to do my own thing as best as I can, and see where it takes me.
All right, that's cool.
Yeah.
So, and along the way, you've met a couple of good artists. So, like the person in the park. Do you have any thoughts of like, you know, when, you know, hopefully you make it big, you get your own company going and stuff like that? if you were to hire other artists, you know, to work with you and stuff, what do you think is some things that you would look for in another artist?
Definitely a similar mindset like me, just kind of going with the flow with everything. Taking any kind of influence and honing your own craft, always growing. Yeah.
And they got to have some talent, right? They got to have some talent because there's some people that just can't draw, you know?
Well, I kind of have this, I believe everybody can draw. Like, it doesn't matter if, like you said, you can barely draw a stick figure. Like, I almost want to see how you draw a stick figure and see.
I have very shaky hands.
Because, yeah, it's a way to express yourself. Is what I always think about. Like, how am I expressing myself through, like, this line I'm doing? Because sometimes, like, in my sketchbook, you'll see just lines going across a page or lines crisscrossing. Art could be anything, any form. Music is an art for sure. Yeah.
Right. Outside of art, is there anything else that you have you know, interest in? Have you cross-platformed at all, so to speak?
I'm trying to get into guitar.
Okay.
I love music so much. Always listening to music. While I'm drawing, definitely just music, art, great combo. Like, I'm set for life.
What's some of your top bands right now?
Oh, Tame Impala, Deftones, SZA. Oh wait, that's not a band. R&B singer. It could be artist. Yeah, it could be artist. What's your top music? I guess, you know, an artist. Yeah, definitely metal, R&B, classic rock, anything, honestly.
As long as it gets your head going and you can feel the vibe, that's what it is. And you know, that's another thing that I love about music is, like, you know, like the different emotions and responses that you could get from, you know, different sounds. You know, like what you know, the art of music is manipulating sound, and it's vibrational waves and everything at an atomical level. Like, you know, all matter, everything that's like solid, like nothing's really solid. Everything's just little atoms vibrating around. So everything creates a resonant, you know, energy frequency, and everything's just vibrating around. So music taps into, like, you know, that primal nature of what makes the universe, you know?
Yes. Yeah.
And so it elicits a lot of different things. And it's funny because, like, metal, for example, there's a lot of people that just don't understand metal and give metal a bad name. But, like, you know, not every metal band is angry, you know? But it can tap into, like, I don't know what it is about the frequency of, like, death metal bands and stuff like that just get you, like, so amped and pumped up. But there was some study that was done with, like, flowers, and they were playing music, like classical music and jazz and all that stuff. And I believe, if I remember correctly, the ones that were played heavy metal grew the best. So.
Oh, that's awesome.
But yeah, no, so music can help in a lot of different art forms and meditations and stuff like that. I think, again, because of the manipulation of frequency and sound, it just taps into into a different part of the body that helps you find, you know, other creativity or something. Lets you unlock other parts of your soul, your brain, your thought. So do you listen? I believe you said you listen to a lot of music when you draw and create your art.
Yes. Yeah.
Have you noticed now different musics play different, you know, roles depending on what you're drawing?
For sure. Yeah, definitely.
So, going right into that. So I'm assuming you draw some really wild stuff when it comes to, like, Deftones and Tame Impala.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, Tame Impala. They're I love their experimental sound. They're very psychedelic. Yeah. It's really
psychedelic
cool.
rock. Yep.
So, like, with the different musics and stuff like that, they do play a role. Like, how do you notice them playing a role? Like, do you have, like, okay, I'm going for this kind of art, and you pick a song, or is it the other way around where it's like you're listening to a type of song and it just, like, elicits a response, and then that, you know, your art reflects that?
Yeah. So if a song comes on, sometimes I'm just like, wow, I just need to draw right now. Or if I'm drawing and a song comes on, like if a more heavier song comes on, I'll like, instead of straight lines, I'll just like do more rigid, more intense strokes. So I literally, whatever I'm feeling is what I draw.
That's cool. That's really cool. Yeah, it's you know, it's a very, I think it's a more intense art form than people give it credit for, you know, people that don't understand it. Like even me, I'm guilty of it just a few years ago. Like, yeah, when I see a beautiful landscape, it's like, oh, that's cool that you can like create that. And realism really, you know, caught my eye because it was just the fact that like, oh, that's a picture, but it looks real. So I only had appreciation for that because I only had a baseline understanding of it. The more I started to understand it, and the more that I find the beauty in it. And, you know, I would assume for most people that don't know anything, they just, you know, oh, it's a bunch of lines, you know, big deal. Yeah, my kid draws in elementary school, you know, what do you want? So with that, do you have like any advice for like, you know, people that want to get into that, they're like just starting to discover art, or, you know, maybe they're later in life and they're looking, you know, to you know, find a new hobby or maybe a new career path? Do you have like any advice, you know, for people interested in art?
Oh, yeah, of course. So I would definitely say without any pressure, just get out a piece of paper, get a pencil, get a pen, and just start drawing lines and see where it takes you. Put on your favorite song, put on even like your favorite TV show, just anything that makes you happy or makes you feel something, put it on, get your canvas out, get your paper out, and just start following where your hand takes you. And don't be afraid of messing up or, oh, this doesn't look good. No one's going to see it. Only you're going to see it. So why not just see what happens? And what's the worst that's going to happen? You're just creating and expressing yourself. And I think that's so beautiful that it's possible to express yourself like on a paper that we just like take for granted and throw out. I always... Before, I made this promise to myself about 2 years ago that if I'm throwing out a piece of paper and there's nothing on it, if for some reason I need to throw out a piece of paper, I'm going to just do a little doodle on it. And it doesn't have to look good. It's just like a quick, like, little thing. And then I'll throw it out. And it's just like this weird ritual that I do now. And I think it's kind of beautiful. Just like kind of going with wherever the pencil takes me and just like releasing any connection to it, because obviously while I was in college, the stakes were high, so I took a lot of my artwork seriously. And after leaving, I was kind of like, wow, like I kind of don't like that pressure too much. I want to be more free and do my own thing. So after that, I kind of was just like more relaxed and just like, just do you.
Yeah, I never thought about that. The pressure of like, you know, school, or that might be something that you come across, you know, being a professional artist is deadlines, where it's like you're not creating for yourself, you're creating for somebody else. You know, like I never thought about that before. That must have been, you know, the school must have been really stressful.
Yeah.
Jeez.
So after like I even noticed like I wasn't doing as much of like my own art. I was just doing like designs and school projects. So that was kind of like training mode. And after that, I'm just like, whoa, like I miss doing anything else. Yeah, just be more free. Don't take your artwork, don't take yourself too seriously, because you never know what could happen. And yeah. And
it's got to come from the heart, not from the head. Of course,
from your heart.
you got to have the technique. You got to have things, you know, thought out. But I would assume, you know, the best art is what just comes from the heart.
Yeah. You're not thinking too much. Because I know like thoughts are the reason why I would like hold back on my art and be like, oh, this isn't good enough. I was told that this isn't the right way, so I should probably stop. But once you kind of overcome those thoughts and just kind of do what you want to do from your heart, you're smooth sailing.
There you go. Now, with graphic design, obviously a lot more of it is on the computer and stuff like that. What's the, from painting, it's all about the different colors, the paper, the brushes that you use. Now, when you go to a digital format, it seems like it might be a little bit easier, but is it really?
No. I feel like just because of how I was trained with graphic design, it's important to take it a little more seriously, especially, when you do a logo for somebody, or when I did a logo for you, like I have to make sure it's what you want, and take account that this is for somebody else, not for me. I'm trying to make your or their artwork or their design come to life. Mm-hmm. So sometimes in that term, you can't be so as I don't know if selfish is the right word.
Self-expressive. How about that?
Yeah, I can't be as self-expressive with more design work because it's for a purpose usually. So.
And now what about the digital medium itself? Like, I don't know much about, graphic design other than like I've messed around with Paint a few times and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. Like what goes into the actual like artwork? Do you have like a digital sketch pad kind of thing? Is it all mouse and mm-hmm. Picking pre-designed shapes and stuff like that? I know nothing about this world.
So it always starts with a pencil sketch. Doing multiple pages of different sketches and then taking that and moving it onto the computer, seeing what works. Usually fonts are involved, so picking the right font. And there's like a whole world with learning fonts and typefaces. So that's like another step. Colors are important for legibility purposes. That's into consideration. Like it's a lot of steps and rules that you have to be aware about. So it's a lot. It's more in the mind almost. Mm-hmm. But maybe I'll kind of cross over and see what I can do and see if there is room for some kind of like I don't know how to explain it. Bring more of my own art into graphic design.
Okay. Yeah. And with the way technology is now, I'm sure, stuff like that will be, much easier. Like when I remember when the first computers came out, like when Paint came out for the first time, like that was like revolutionary, but it's so archaic, and funny enough, it's still around and it's got a few more features and whatnot. But I've seen like a few like real programs out there, there's like Photoshop and stuff like that, but that's, that's more photography and editing that. But I've seen like art programs where like, you can actually draw and it comes up, and it's not the same as using pen and paper, but it seems like it mm-hmm. opens up a lot more opportunities to do something like that, while you're going into the digital platform, mm-hmm. but taking some of your techniques and some more of your a more traditional style, but being able to do it in a digital format. So, mm-hmm. I believe the possibility will be there for you, and who knows what's going to be out in, 5 years from now.
I know.
A year from now, who knows?
Yeah, next month even.
Yeah, exactly. So, mm-hmm. technology, the bane and the blessing of today's society.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So speaking of which, so you're looking to do get back into your own business and everything like that. To social media, are you into social media at all?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, that's good, because that's like important. That's the one thing I'm struggling with is like I'm kind of old school. I almost could care less about social media, but like I want to be able to reach people and do stuff, but it's so hard for me to get into like Twitter and Instagram and all that stuff.
It's a lot.
Yeah, I would assume is Instagram like kind of your place, because I know it's more that's if I'm correct here, that's more of like a place for photography, pictures and stuff like that. So that seems like some place you would really shine.
Yeah, I'll be honest, like I'm lacking a bit with posting on there, but I would definitely love to get back into it and post as much as I can of design, artwork, and just express myself through my platform.
There you go. Yeah,
art.
That's the new thing. Your platform.
Yep.
You know, it's again the bane and the blessing of today's society. Yeah. But it's something you can't get around these days, you know, and I think that's like you're seeing right now. There's just so much yelling from a lot of different sides. You know, I don't like to get into politics too much or whatnot, but we've gotten to a point where social media is such a large piece of the fabric of our society, and you can't like succeed without it, you know, especially if you're trying to do something in a public, you know, to service the public, you know, whether it be just trying to express ideas or trying to start a business. So, you know, social media, it is what it is, the blessing and the curse, but that's another thing that I hope that we start to figure out a little bit more, because like social media has been around for a while, but at the same time, it's never been as important as it is today. And it seems like there's a lot of animosity, but it's taken a real bad turn right now. You know?
Honestly, I believe too. Yeah.
There's people that, you know, okay, we may not agree with them, but does that mean they shouldn't have a voice? So now what if that person owns a business? You know, let the people decide that they don't want to shop at this person's business anymore, but you're shutting down voices. Like now you can't, somebody's not allowed to work, somebody's not allowed to you know, be out there, but at the same time, you know, everybody's got an opinion, you know. It's
and they just all clash on the internet in a horrible way.
It's so volatile. That's one of the things that keeps me away, is like every time I turn around, somebody's fighting with this person, then I hear on the news, oh, this person got deplatformed. I'm like, is that really a thing?
Yeah, that it's through social media like that.
Yeah, that's when I realized, like, you know, unfortunately how important was when now it's, you know, social media is being tied with their platform. Like, oh, you mean Joe the plumber down the block? Every time that he puts something on Twitter, this is now his platform. And like, it really got me thinking, like, yeah, you know, it doesn't matter who you are. You put something out there, the whole world gets to see it.
Yeah.
And so, but at the same time, that's also where you can shine if you got something, you know, beautiful to share with the world. So, and you have some beautiful work. I really hope that, you know, that you get better and that, you know, things really pick up for you. You deserve it. Again, you did great work for us. Quick turnaround. Please, you guys need a logo. You need any kind of graphic design. Please, description in the bottom. Make sure that you check it. So, do you have any parting words for your wonderful viewers?
Listen to your heart. Take out a piece of paper and do anything to it. Even if you don't use a pencil, just crumple it or something. Use your hands, and create. And thank you so much, JT, for having me. This is such an awesome experience.
You're very welcome. Thank you for coming down, and I'm sure we'll be doing this again in the future, and we definitely will be working again. So,
awesome.
All right. Again, make sure you check the description. Find to see where you can find Kanisha. Make sure that you hire her for your work. Take care.